out here at Craig Downs property, and we're looking at milling a couple more slabs out of these cedar trunks that he took down. We're going to get the area cleaned up first, and we're probably going to be using the 41-inch Stihl Bar as well as maybe the 59-inch, depending on how wide this is. It's a pretty good size trunk, so pretty good size log. So we will get it cleaned up and get this log set up to mill.
Should we go look at it?
So here is the base of the log we're going to start milling. Here's the stump that it came off of. Quite a bit of rot down at this end of it, but we're hoping that once we get 2 or 3 feet up that we'll have some pretty good material. It was cut up there. That looks pretty good. So we'll see. This is trial and error here. We'll see what happens. All right, we're out here with Craig Downs. He's moving all of the logs and everything else out of the way. Here's the 2 logs we're going to possibly mill. The lower one first. If it doesn't pan out because of the rot, we'll work on the upper one. But we just got all the brush cleared out of the way. He's moving it up to the burn pile, and we're kind of pruning the log here right behind me, getting the knuckles and the arms off of it so we can roll it out of the way. So we were taking a look at the log we're going to first start to mill, and we noticed there was a pretty good check in the end of it right here. Right here. And so somebody had already started cutting right here on the log, and I was thinking maybe it doesn't go much just through this section. So we finished cutting it. The check got a lot better here, but we're still going to roll the log over, because here's the check. Get our cuts as much parallel to that as we can, and maybe run the saw right through that to get rid of it, so all of our slabs don't have any cracks in them. So that's what we're going to do next, is roll this log downhill a little bit, try to get that leveled up. So right here it looks like we got with the bark on it over 32.5. Minus the bark, we're probably somewhere around 31 inches. And here we're about 29. So we'll lose a little bit of width if we roll it over, but having that check run through the middle of our slabs is not a good option. And it'll keep splitting right there. So we're gonna roll it and get this horizontal and then do our layout from there. Craig's getting ready to push that log over. He's getting in position. He's our master tractor operator, and he's loving the grapple. Rolled over. The check is pretty horizontal. Plus it looks like that was a good choice, because the top of that log is pretty smooth, flat, and there's no knuckles or anything sticking off of it. Next thing we're going to do is set up our rails, and then we will show you that setup before we make our first cut. Before mounting the tracks onto the log, I need to clean up the large end of it that had several cuts in it from felling the tree. I'm going at it the first time with my 25-inch bar that isn't even close to reaching through, and I'll have to cut from both sides in this process, and that's what you see me doing here. Here's our second attempt at cleaning that end up. I wasn't quite happy with the end of the log, and I wanted to cut off some rounds for another project. So we set up the 41-inch bar on the 880 Magnum and went after it.
You can see it almost reaches all the way through. There was also an incident here where we had a little hiccup, and apparently the two nuts on the bar holding the bar in place were not tight, and you're going to see what happens here next. We were able to find all of the nuts and put the bar back on and secure it. It was a good lesson learned. They were not easy to find in the sawdust. One was on each side of the log, but we found them, got it back together, and we were able to successfully finish the cut. It turned out really nice.
We just switched over from the 41-inch bar to the 59-inch bar, and it's a monster, as you can see. We're going to put on the chainsaw attachment and get it all adjusted. Over here, come on over here and take a look at the layout we did. We've got our rails on, just like we did on our first log. I did a crosshair here. I do a vertical line just so I can center this up, and I'm kind of centered on the log. Not necessary, but it just seems like it makes it easier. We came up 14 inches to the bottom of this, and I think our first cut is going to be about 2 inches below here. The end of this is measuring on the widest part right here is about 29, I would say, without bark. The height was closer to 32. And then down at this end, we're pushing 40 inches. And our height here is another 40, 41. And we set this up level, and it's just barely clear in this. And remember, I set these about a 1/4 inch higher than the crossbar just to give us a little more clearance, so even if I was too close here, it's not going to catch. We got our wedges set ready. So the next step after we get the saw mounted into the sawmill, we'll take our first cut across this. We got our mill all put together. This is the 59-inch Stihl Bar. We've got our ripping chain on here. We've got our depth set to 7 5/8, and that is based on kind of how much we want to take off the top, and also some of the screws we've got in holding the rails together at that end. But that'll get us cleaned off at the top and get us the top of our first slab. After this, we'll set it to 4 and make our cut. So next thing you're going to see is us taking the top off of this. First cut, and the saw definitely running the 60 definitely is different than the shorter bar we have, the 41, and it does look like it leaves a little bit more marks on here. I'm going to try tightening up the chain, but it's just an awful lot of chain and bar, I'll tell you. Is this one spot where we stopped right here?
I don't know. I'm not sure. I don't think we stopped.
So the next thing that we're going to do is set that saw up for a 4-inch slab, and then make our first slab. So here's the finish cut of the first slab. So you saw us put it over here. A little bit of rot in this end down here. The rest of it looks awesome. And then we got some rot right here, but we'll cut that off of the slabs. But you know, you can see it's not as smooth of a cut as what we were doing last time, but you know, I'm sure there's a reason for that. I don't know. Maybe it's our process. We've got all our slabs cut. Lockley here is gonna cut some rot off of here. Here's probably one of our nicest slabs that we cut, which was the last one. It's got some beautiful vertical grain and some flat grain in it. Interesting knot. We've got a little pocket of rot right there. We're gonna cut that off just to lighten it up a little bit. And then we're gonna start figuring out how to get all these slabs. I think we're gonna take 3 or 4 slabs with us. One of the slabs split pretty much from one end to the other right here. Right when we were pulling out the wedges, before we even touched it or tried to move it, it was already opened up, and there's a lot of rot in it right there, so that's probably why. So the slab below it is good, and then these 3 slabs here. So we'll probably take 4 with us. Take those up to the truck and load them in. We just finished loading these 4 slabs up into the truck. It was all we can do. There's nothing left. I'm done for the day. I'll put this video together. Hopefully you guys like it. And this was our video of cutting with the 59-inch Stihl Alaskan Chainsaw Mill. And I'd say it's a success. Give me a thumbs up, Craig.